Hi there. This is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics here with Belmont. We're on Belmont's channel, and this is Cannabis and Conspiracies. I
Yes,
am
it
the
is.
conspiracy. He's the cannabis, and so here we go.
I'm more than just cannabis, bunny.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he does like contribute somewhat. Anyway,
A little bit.
a little bit. Anyway, today we're kind of like go into some deep waters, and we were actually warned off of this subject, which is kind of funny. Um, but they, the person that warned us off is like, "Oh man, you're messing. You're messing around with the moon landing, and you get a lot of hate your way." So I don't know what you think about that, Belmont.
Well, we're not here to say it's one way or the other. It's for you to make the determination yourself. We're just gonna
Right.
talk about why people
Hmm.
think that it didn't happen. We're not saying that
Right.
it didn't
Right.
happen. We're just gonna talk about it.
Exactly.
Can
Exactly.
we
So
just have a
we're yeah.
discussion nowadays without, you know?
Well, see, that is the question, right? Can you have this discussion, or can you even talk about it, without people getting butt hurt? And you know, that's what you deal with a lot. The butt hurt is deep with this one. And the reason why is it was like we were in a race with the Russians to get there. It was kind of like it was if you succeed, and basically if you succeed, you prove your worldview is superior, and the Russians were kind of like at that time were like neck and neck. They did Sputnik, which beat us into space, and basically. So the whole thing was, if we didn't make it to the moon, and if it's all a fake, then i.e. Basically the superiority of the American view over the communism is a fake, and that gets in people's feels a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't mess with that, don't mess with that. It's almost like a patriotic thing, kind of gets mixed up in Americana somewhat. So when it's like America did it first, and it's almost like that created the whole American exceptionalism, uh, and basically, if the moon landing didn't happen, then basically America is not the greatest country on the planet, you know. So there you go, there you go. So I mean, I guess that's probably the basically the basics of why people say you can't talk about it. Why you can't like speculate that it happened or not. What do you
When
think
I
about
was a
that?
kid, I thought, I never would have dreamed in a million years our government would lie to us and it never happened. You know what I mean? It's just like something later on that came to the table. You know what I mean? Maybe the government isn't
Mhm.
honest about everything.
Right,
Um,
right. Well, I mean, you got the best of the best. You had like the best pilots, that the Air Force ever produced. You had, all across the military, they pulled in like these guys who were just like the tip top. If you ever watch that the right stuff, the movie, I
uh-huh.
mean, they put these guys through hell, a hell we can't even conceive of. I mean, they put those guys through. I mean, they didn't know what they were going to feel or what they were going to experience when they got up there. So they just put those guys through everything they could think of. I mean, tortures that would make a Franciscan monk from the Spanish Inquisition blush. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
they put you in that machine that like swirls you around like
yeah,
fucking million
yeah,
miles an hour. I can't
the
even
G,
handle like a teacup ride at a fucking fair, whether known
yeah,
getting like orbited around with that machine.
yeah,
That
it was a
looks crazy, you
G-force
know what I
machine.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, G-force
yeah.
machine. I would never in a million years even like
Mm-mm.
attempt getting in one of those.
Nope, nope. They also did the weightless thing, weightless, where they took them all the way up to the stratosphere, and then in a dive, went into a dive and you're weightless for like I think it's I can't remember how long the period of time was, but they did that over and over again and basically floated around up there to kind of experience what weightlessness is. But problem is when you go 0G, all your organs shift. And so once the gravity takes back control, I mean, there's some pains that you suffer that and some physiological effects that are just god awful. And so basically they went through all that torture and to say, well, they just went up there and orbited and came back to Earth after a period of time. I mean, that kind of strikes at the heart of a lot of people's like, well, these guys went on to be like a master, heads of industry, congressmen, these guys all went on to like, but most of them went on to like some pretty incredible careers afterwards. So you're saying that these guys, the guys that were capable of that, lied about something that's significant, and it wasn't just one. Remember, there's two missions that supposedly landed on the moon, and then a third one that didn't make it, Apollo 13. So Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 13 were all the moon missions. And Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 supposedly made it to the moon, right? And as a matter of fact, Apollo 13 had a lot of trouble getting people to be interested in it because they're like, "Oh, we already been there," The only reason that anybody remembers Apollo 13 is because they didn't make it, But so that's another horse of another color. So it's like I mean, there's a lot of the conspiracies have to do with whether or not you believe that the government is capable of putting something like that on and covering it up. So I mean, it's conspiracy. It's definitely ripe for conspiracy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I actually pulled up some conspiracy theories and like some counter arguments. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the first conspiracy theory is, where are the stars? Why are there no stars in the Apollo 11 pictures? There's not even atmosphere on the moon. Shouldn't there be stars, right?
Yes.
Well, no. According to NASA, and to be fair, maybe this is like citing the magician in your proof that a woman's actually sewed in half and put back together. The Earth and Moon both reflect enough sunlight to render the stars invisible. More specifically, with a camera configured to take good pictures in the amount of light present on the surface of the moon, stars are too faint to register an exposure. It's like how you don't see stars during the day on Earth or at night in a big city. The Apollo astronauts were on the dark side of the moon after all. Okay. That seems plausible to me. So
yeah,
I like your picture.
There's a bunch
back
of
there. Yeah, your picture doesn't have stars in it, right?
No.
Right. What was you saying?
There's just a lot of things that don't add up, and that's just one of many things people bring up is the stars, and then there's the footprint. You probably got that on your list, right? The footprint.
Yeah.
Basically, they showed this one picture of the boots that he was going to wear, Neil Armstrong, on the moon, and then later on they showed an imprint on the moon that he supposedly, that he made his first walk on the moon, and it showed the prints, and the prints don't match up to the bottom of the shoes. And then to explain that, NASA said basically there's these booties like that go over, that went over the boots that had that, so it matches the print.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's many things, but the one thing I'm more concerned about is the radiation on the moon. How do they protect themselves from the radiation?
Right.
NASA says they don't even have any like protection from that in their suits. And then people have contacted the company that made the suit, And they said, "Don't ask
Right.
us, ask NASA. We just follow the specs that they gave us."
Right. Yeah. Another one is that the flag seems to be waving or flapping, and you don't have an atmosphere. How is that happening? And well, they kind of explained it as saying unfurling a piece of rolled up cloth with soar angular momentum will naturally result in waves and ripples, no breeze required. I heard it something differently though. I heard that the flag was actually like a piece of aluminum that was like designed to be stiff because they assumed that there wasn't going to be an atmosphere. So, oh my God, General Piggy showed up. Hey man.
What's up,
So
Piggy?
got a piggy sighting there. What's up, dude? So I mean that's also another one. But let's see where the dust in the crater where is the dust in the crater from the lunar landing? Why isn't there a crater from the engines under the lunar lander? Why didn't it kick up a huge cloud of dust when it landed and took off? Turns out the soil on the moon is pretty hard packed, so it deflected force from the lander's thrusters rather than being scoured into a crater. But also, the landing did kick up dust. It just didn't behave the way you'd expect, given our experience with dust all comes from planet with atmosphere. So anyway, if you want to see moon dust, you can just check out Neil Armstrong's suit at the Smithsonian. Conservators there restored the suit, but they made sure to keep it dusty. So, okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. That when it landed, where was the dust? Right, I never heard that one before. But I assume that dust gets carried by like atmosphere once it's stirred up. So I imagine it would settle pretty almost immediately if no atmosphere. You know.
Yeah, it's a vacuum. So what happens?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely a theory I've heard. I've heard theories having to do with the rehearsed line from Neil Armstrong that just seemed too perfect for the moment.
Yeah, now looking back at it, the whole thing just seems like Disney perfect. You know what I mean? The right thing to say. It's just too perfect. You know, for something we've never done before. Just to, you know, even if they did a dry run, you know what I mean? Just for it to happen so perfectly. And actually, the landing, the actual part where they land, that footage has been erased. They said, "Oh, we didn't know we should save it or not, so we just erased it." That's what NASA said. Why would they erase that?
Well, there's precedent for that. There's been multiple things lost to history where they erased, somebody taped over something or erased it. That's not really anything that surprises me. But I mean, we weren't really like into preservation for a lot of our history, you know. The Smithsonian thing's relatively new. So I mean, besides this bureaucracy, you know, you got underlings that do a shitty job do a shitty moment at their job. What did you do today? Oh, don't erase this tape over here. Oh my God, you know, cover it up. You know, it would just be something stupid like somebody's nephew's working there. You know, I mean, so I mean that's not a smoking gun for me. Mrs. Good Stuff's there. Hello, Mrs. Good Stuff. Hello, lady. Well, yeah, I mean, also there is a built-in weakness to a lot of conspiracies. Is how in the world do you keep the secret that long? You know, I mean, how in the world does all those people, you know, not let something slip?
Well, I heard that they gave the astronauts a bunch of drugs after they came back.
Okay,
like drugged them up, maybe fucked with their minds a little bit. Yeah, gave them like all these experimental drugs or something after the things. Who knows? Maybe they think they actually did go. You know what I mean? They're all fucked up in the head.
Well, the problem with that, and this is the same problem that Hey, Justin Bunny. Hey, Mrs. Good Stuff.
I miss good
Hey,
stuff.
Saeed Saba, whatever. Seriously, the moon landing can't be fake. Do it would cost more. Right, right, right. Um, well, the issue with that though is you nobody has the exact same hallucination. Nobody has the exact same trip. You can have 5 guys with the exact same life experiences in taking LSD, and all 5 of them will have a different trip. And it just there's no way to like fake that. Uh, and over the mass hysteria has been for like events has happened over time. People were saying, "Oh, they all had ergot poisoning, and they all had the same hallucination." When they're trying to disprove Jesus's appearance after his death, that's they made up theories like that. But the problem is everybody has the same delusion. That is impossible. That just doesn't happen. So even if they did everybody tripped on got the same drugs. Have either of you taken LSD? No,
I did an
I have not.
acid gel tab once.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Belmont's
shrooms
mine too.
many times.
I have watched videos of people taking acid in experimental ways. So, so
I mainly just
anyway,
saw like colors changing and stuff like that, and
right.
I saw this baby, and it kind of looked like a bird or something to me. So it does like
Mhm.
change your perceptions of what things look like. I look at a building
Yeah.
with a bunch of lights, and I saw a castle. So
Uh-huh.
it is kind of fucked up drug, but you can't even get that shit anymore. You can't get a real like acid anymore.
Yeah, they call it something else different now. I mean, Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. I can't remember what he calls it, but it's something different. I've had all kinds of different trips. Yeah, yeah, we figured that, pops. We figured that. Anyway,
What a long, strange trip it's been.
yeah, right, right. Um, but yeah, so and there's also like mental conditioning that people like. You could be brainwashed to remember things like that. And like implanted memories where you under hypnosis somebody gives you a memory and you kind of like make it your own. um,
False memories.
False memory, yeah, which is which was like a big thing back in the 80s where people put people under hypnosis and then have them remember that their father like molested them or something, you know
Or
and
they got abducted by aliens, and they're saying that
yeah, I got, yeah,
the
right, right,
guy,
right.
put that idea in his head, and it didn't really happen.
Yeah, yeah, so I mean that actually you can. That's what Pop says. Okay. Well, all right. Hojo said something earlier. That's what he was responding to. What did Hojo say? My questions are these: who benefits from fake landing? What's the purpose? Okay. Well,
We prove our
uh,
superiority over Russia.
superiority over the Russians.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there are some other things that make me think that thing was genuine. It's just the amount of people, the amount of support crew and everything. If you've ever gone to Cape Canaveral, which I have, and seen the kind of like the Saturn V rockets and everything like that, and the rooms of banks of computers and stuff that they had, um, there was a lot of effort and a lot of money put into making this happen. In a way, I mean, yeah, I mean, they actually use Nazi scientists, Uh, a lot of the tests that they did, these astronauts, were ones that the Nazi scientists actually performed on Jews back in Nazi Germany.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little shady. A little shady. Uh, but, if you see the character of the man involved, the kind of like lives they led afterwards, it's hard to believe that these guys would knowingly lie about something like
Well,
that.
people
Oh,
have
all
went up
these
to him and
years.
said, "Hey, will you swear on this Bible that you went to the moon?" And none of
Well,
the astronauts would ever do that. Someone got punched in the face by, I forgot who, which
Buzz
astronaut.
Aldrin punched
Yeah, he
somebody in the
punched somebody
face.
in the face because
Yeah.
someone got in his face, was like, "You never went to the fucking moon. You're a lying piece of shit." You're lying to everybody. You're no hero.
Well, there's an easy explanation for that. Why not swearing on a Bible? Because if one person did it, then all of them would have to do it, and they'd have to keep doing it their whole entire life. Because people say, I didn't see you do it, so you need to do it for me. And so people tend to basically make an agreement among themselves that they're not going to do that, things like that. Because if they do it, then somebody else will be forced to do it, and they're not all of them were Christians. So I think that's an explanation for that. But anyway, well, the thing about it is, you got people like Katherine Johnson, who was one of the greatest mathematicians that mankind's ever produced, who was working with NASA at the time. And here's a black lady who had no reason to lie about her work there, and she was doing all sorts of calculations for them that beat the computers that they had. I mean, when the computers were telling them the wrong landing instructions, basically. And they basically just called her in and said, okay, the computer's spitting out the wrong thing. This is the criteria, and we need you to land these men on this moon. She basically crunched the numbers right on the spot and they nailed the moon landing. And so, to diminish that accomplishment, I don't really have it in me to do that. I mean, that's just incredible. And especially, this is a woman that's dealt with segregation her whole entire life and been like denigrated for, in certain circles for being black. And then, but she was that damn good that when NASA needed somebody to land this massive program of millions and millions of dollars, the equivalent of billions of dollars today. And this little black lady is who they brought up to do it. I mean, that movie seems like it's far fetched, but that actually happened. I mean, that literally.
Well, in order to make everything seem so realistic, you would have to do all these things. You would have to do the calculations and do everything. And then, maybe they don't even know that they've been duped. Maybe they think it was all real. And the only people that really, really, truly know are the astronauts themselves, because once they got to the part where they get on the moon and land, they just played the studio footage, whatever they already pre-recorded.
Okay.
Or whatever, you know what I mean? And maybe the controller people and everybody else didn't even know about what's going on. And the rocket ship actually did leave the platform and went and left the Earth's atmosphere and just orbited the Earth. And maybe they didn't land on the moon. There's a lot of people that say that we don't have the ability to get back to Earth after we land on the moon, and how that's possible.
And what is the reason why they say that? What was the reason they give?
I'm not sure, but they said the technology can't get you back to Earth, especially in 1969. And then when you ask NASA about it, they don't even remember how they did it, or they don't have records of the equipment they used or whatever. Everything's gone. So why haven't we been back to the moon since 1969? Why haven't we went back?
Oh, well, because of government bureaucracy, because basically it costs so much and took so much effort, and then the next administration comes in that doesn't see NASA as a priority, and then the space program just hold on. All the science they don't understand is just their job of 5 days a week. But but government bureaucracy, basically. I mean, and it was Kennedy's effort and energy that really pushed them to go to the moon in the first place. And then Lyndon Johnson came in, and Lyndon Johnson was a bean counter. And so I pretty much think he mothballed a lot of things that Kennedy had read, had greenlit. And so that's the problem with America, is every 4 or 8 years the whole entire complete change around. I mean, just 2 years ago we were completely energy independent, and now we're begging Arab sheiks for to produce a little bit more oil on our behalf, you know. So it just all it is a change of administration. Uh, so I would say that would pretty much, you know, that would probably shoot that down pretty effectively, I think. Um, but you know, and then and to get America back, get people back from the moon to the planet. All you would have to do is just get the planet or uh, get the capsule close enough to catch the Earth's like gravity. It would actually be easier to go back than it would be to go to the moon. So and plus you had Katherine Johnson making those calculations too. So she was our supercomputer. So you know it is what it is. You know.
Someone pointed out that it's like negative 455 degrees Fahrenheit, supposedly, as a temperature out in space, and how they stored enough fuel to, heat the craft and everything to protect it from that cold, and that little capsule or whatever, how's it hold all that fuel?
Right.
And there's been pictures on the internet showing the actual capsule that lands on the moon, and it showed it that was like made out of wood or whatever. That was kind of crazy photos that I saw. That that thing was actually made out of wood. How do we land a fucking thing, a capsule made out of wood? Is this whole thing just a hoax or what? Or someone just throwing a bunch of phony photos on the internet?
Well, that hasn't happened before. I mean that's you know. Photoshop's a real thing. It's been a real thing for a long time, man. What did Hojo say down there? Hojo said, you know, well, under the Johnson regime, they had a lot of money diverted to a certain Southeast Asian country. Priorities.
Yeah, priorities.
Right. Also, well, I mean, the thing that if you look at the way it was situated, okay. You got the Saturn V rocket that got them into out of the atmosphere, and then you had the capsule that took them to the moon, and and to get the basically all it had to do was just get the momentum, and so it was just like short bursts, and they used the liquid propellant, which is basically like the equivalent of like a NOS can, you know. It's essentially what they use is like NOS, which is similar to their propellant. If you ever seen those NOS cans, man, you can those things you wouldn't think they hold a lot, but they really do. Like natural gas cans, man. You can run on those things for days, basically. But all they would need to do is do a short burst to get them moving in the direction of the moon, and they do like a corrective burst to keep them on target. And so it takes a lot less fuel than you would think.
You know, when I looked up on YouTube, there's not a lot of videos that say that it was a hoax. It seems that they all been scrubbed from YouTube. Only the ones that debunk the hoaxes are on there.
Wow.
Okay. They only have one view on YouTube, and I found that kind of weird. I even saw some people comment in the comments under some of the videos talking about that too, that there used to be a lot more videos.
Right.
There's more evidence, such as I'm going to show you this clip.
Okay.
Here's something we didn't mention.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think I mean I can't explain what that was, but I mean one little after image on a visor throws the whole thing into doubt. I mean that's I don't know. That's kind of flimsy there. Grandmaster asked,
"What's up, 24 Eyes?"
Grandmaster asked if we're no, we're not police or military intelligence, FBI or NSA.
Speak for yourself, Bunny.
Maybe Belmont is. I don't know. Anyway, well, I mean, I can't explain it. Of course, nobody can explain it. What happened there? But you know, it just seems like a reflection of something. or propulsion system they use to lift from the moon's surface.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
like to know.
the moon lander was actually disposable. So it had enough to get down and it had enough to get back to the command module, but then it immediately was jettisoned. So it's still floating around space somewhere.
Well,
So
I already got a
mean,
strike for that.
you already got a strike? Really? Are we off? No. Stream is down. Strike for copyright. Still live. Okay. Okay. Are we back up?
I was
Guys
too,
were
we were
too
too
honest.
honest, buddy.
Oh, okay. Okay. So did we lose all our viewers or are we still up?
Usually, if we get taken down, they put it back up, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, okay.
They just
all
wait
right.
for the copyright stuff to stop playing, and then they put it. Then they make it go live again.
Okay.
It
Okay.
depends what kind of
There we
strike
go.
you get. You know what I mean? If you get one
Yeah.
that makes you remove it, or one that
Right.
you just can't get monetized.
Okay. Okay. Well, sorry guys if we went black there. We were just watching a video about a visor reflection that seemed to indicate it was a studio boom reflecting in the visor. So anyway,
And there's another photo where they had a guy's visor, and it shows like a guy in the visor, like it looks like he's wearing like a leather jacket or something and pants. That's a fucking weird photo too.
Well, I mean, how long's that photo existed?
Well, I think it's in the original photo of the NASA from the archives, and you just have to go in there and like Photoshop and zoom in and enhance it, and you can see it. And they're just saying, it's just looks like a guy wearing just like the Mars face. It just looks like a face. It's just shadows playing with you. You know what I mean? It's not really a monument on Mars.
We have a convert over there. Simple Jack is evidently lighting us up over here.
Stream's back up.
He said the best mathematical minds in the world lost the formulas for space travel. Stream is down. Okay, all right. Anyway, well, I mean, the thing about it, that if you take out the moon landing as an accomplishment for the America, then you really like pull pretty much everything, the whole America's superiority into question, in a time where our country was still trying to find its footing in the world, to prove that America belonged at the head of the table as opposed to at the kids' table. We just came out of World War II, and America kicked a lot of ass in World War II, became the world leader in World War II. With the dropping of the atomic bombs, became one of the first atomic powers in the world. And it was just us and Russia on the stage, basically. And Russia, like, they did Sputnik. They did, first manned, circulation of the Earth. And America kind of like had to play catch up for a long time. The cosmonauts were already up routinely going into orbit because they didn't give a shit about the health of their cosmonauts, So they didn't do much experiment at all. They just basically sent them up. It's like, oh, did that guy die? No. Okay, I guess it's safe, because Russia, they didn't care about individuality. Anyway, so if you look at the geopolitical pressures that were going on at that time, they basically, it was like America fighting for its very existence on the world stage. And so that's why they made the deal with the devil and brought some Nazi scientists on board to NASA, so I mean, they were just willing to do anything to get that thing done. But a lot of the technologies that they were disputing were around, like the photograph. Photo. There's nothing wrong with. There's nothing in a photographic apparatus that would not have worked in space. Um, Not true. Still the SR-71 Blackbird. We are the leaders in freedom. Yeah. Well, I'm just the SR-71 Blackbird proves that we have the technological know-how. There you go. I mean, could we have built something like the SR-71 Blackbird while a lot of this stuff was going on? I mean, we definitely had the technology capability. Wonder why we didn't take more Russian scientists. I don't know. I guess because the Russians were like locking down their scientists, as soon as World War II happened. At the end of World War II, they consolidated a lot of their power, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a lot of nebulous speculation. It doesn't seem to be a lot of concrete proof otherwise. And it's like, oh, this behavior here, the astronauts behave this way, or there's a reflection on a visor here, or there was a possible snafu in the camera. Oh, this footage was erased, or that whatever.
Oh, someone said they took too many perfect pictures that even a camera on a professional photographer on Earth wouldn't be able to capture that many great photos. And how did the guys on the moon wearing those big ass gloves and all that using those
Matthew
cameras?
Brady in the Civil War, which is about close to 100 years before this, took perfect pictures. Hundreds. It wasn't him personally, but it was his studio, his photographic studio, people operating underneath him. Took hundreds of thousands of perfect photos, and this is Civil War times. So I'm going to dispute that. So I mean, by the time that they already had like I mean, I know some photographers and they have like the apparatus that basically do the old school thing, the whole 35 millimeter with the twist lens. They don't have like the autofocus and stuff like that. They do it like they like dial it in by hand or whatever. And those guys, man, they can take hundreds of photographs and every one of them is just perfect. And so I definitely going to dispute that.
I just thought everything was too perfect. You know what I mean? What he said, how they did it, just everything was just
like some things just happen that way. Some things happen perfectly. I mean, there are things that occur on this planet, and you're like, did that just actually happen? Did that actually occur that way? I mean, but sometimes things happen like that. Sometimes the dominoes fall.
There's just so much disinformation about space. For people say that NASA is just a front, and that we have a real secret space program. Like when that 15-year-old boy hacked in from the UK into NASA and found a list of space of the secret space program, that supposedly listed a non-human as one of the crew members. And then he never went to jail or anything. I think he was recruited by the government. I mean, if you can hack into NASA, I mean, they're not going to be putting you in jail. They're going to be putting you to work because you're able to do something like that. That's a skill. You know what I mean? If you could break into one of the into the government's databases or whatever, you're going to go places. Especially the government will just most likely just recruit you. But I never heard anything about that since he got supposed to get extradited, I think, to America for that. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not hear about that. That's
happened a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, Simple Jack wondered why the world nations don't make a joint space effort unless military advantages. Don't think a spacesuit will help. We're trying to adjust the focus on the camera. Well, it depends on how big the viewfinder is. And those cameras, I've seen those cameras are in the Smithsonian, and the viewfinder is like a size of a television set. LT Buns, hey man, what's up, dude?
What's up, Octo?
So, well, I'm just saying that I have yet to see like compelling enough information, compelling enough like proof to me. I mean, there's this whole thing about Stanley Kubrick possibly directing the moon landing and like insinuating that he did so, like the whole Apollo 11, the A11 in the ballroom and the Shining or things like that. I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, I know that you can be MDA'd out the butt and not be able to tell anybody what you've done. You know, on threat of Gitmo. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of smoke in this instance and not a lot of fire.
It's possible the astronauts were threatened by the government. If you ever come out and say that you didn't go on the moon, that didn't happen, we will, we'll put you in the desert and your family. That's a good way to keep somebody in check. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, those astronauts did die in like an accident, in training. Maybe that was a warning. Yeah, the fire killed, I think, 3 of them or something. Maybe that was like them saying, "Hey, this could happen to you." I don't know.
Yeah, don't
I
end
don't
up
know.
like this crew.
Yeah.
Stay in line.
But maybe one of them asked too many questions, and they're like, "See, yeah." I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of like speculation that I don't
There's
see
a recent controversy with the SpaceX rocket.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard about that one?
No, I haven't heard about that one. No.
All right, I'm gonna play this little clip for you.
Well, we're definitely gonna get struck on this. Anything SpaceX.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
New York-based rocket company Elon Musk, SpaceX, launched a 5,700-pound supply-loaded spacecraft, including a group of genetically engineered powerful mice, to the International Space Station on Thursday. The SpaceX Dragon capsule was put in orbit on top of a Falcon 9 rocket at the Kennedy Space Center, Florida, around 12:30 p.m. Thursday. It is scheduled to connect with the space station on Sunday. The mission was scheduled to take off on Wednesday, but high winds in the upper atmosphere caused a one-day delay. The mice at the nonprofit Jackson Laboratory in Maine have genes engineered to increase muscle growth. They will help scientists understand how to limit muscle and bone loss in humans while they are in space and will extend a long history of rodent research aboard the ISS. So far so good, genetically modified mice, but would they be super rats to be off the rocket? Does the live launch video show what appears to be a mouse circling quietly at the foot of the rocket, with very high temperatures circling that spot, or are we really seeing too much? Would it be digital mice as it appears in the video transcript to once again mislead us about the release? CGI video? Matrix failed? Watch it yourself and draw your own conclusions.
For hitting the dense part of the Earth's atmosphere. Lastly is the landing burn, which happens just before touchdown to take the booster softly down to the drone ship.
Continues on nominal trajectory.
We are at T plus 5 minutes, and the second stage is on its way to drop off Dragon into its targeted orbit. As a reminder, the first stage had an on-time launch today at 12:29 p.m. Eastern Time.
Look at that shit. It could have been fake. The whole thing could just be fake, man.
I don't know.
It moves just like a mouse too. They try to say it was like fuel coming off the thing, rolling down the side of it. It just made it look like a mouse.
No, it was definitely a mouse.
Really a mouse.
Definitely a mouse. Yeah.
So, how could there be a mouse outside of a booster at God knows what the temperature is right there?
That was re-entry, I think. So I don't know what that was. What?
Oh yeah, ice.
Well, I mean, that just says this. I mean, that's just like SpaceX, though. I mean, that's like a recent thing. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that had to stay silent for the moon landing to work. A lot of people had to keep their mouth shut for that to be pulled off. That's a ton of people in one conspiracy that never talked. So I don't know. I mean, no
Maybe on their
deathbed
deathbed.
confessions.
Yeah, on their deathbed, they're like,
I
we
mean-
never went to the moon. They threatened me.
Well, I mean, when you have nothing else to lose, I mean, why in the world would you, Lesson like said, if you confess on your deathbed, we will kill your family. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I didn't
We
think
will
about
end your
that.
line. We'll salt the earth. Don't no confessions. I don't know. But I mean, these guys, they were just like upstanding individuals. They were upstanding in their whole entire lives, and then they were.
And then at the last second, they were like, "Hey, we got to tell you something. You're not actually going to land on the moon. We're going to shoot you up in space. You're going to go around the moon. You're going to pretend like you go on the moon. We're going to play this footage, and everybody's going to think we went on the moon. And we have to do this to show, that we're the world power now. And eventually, one day, we'll actually do it for real. But for right now, we got to do it. We got to do it how we got to do it. And you guys got to go along with the program. Everybody else is going to think that it really happened. People on the ground, everybody in the control room, because they see the rocket go up. And then after that, when they land and everything, all that's fake after that. And they will never know.
Now, how come Apollo 13 had to come back from so far to get back to Earth? And people watching the whole way. If they didn't make an attempt to get to the moon, why in the world would it take them so long to get back?
They could have just been, just orbiting the Earth for days, just hanging out.
Just hanging out? I mean,
just hanging out for a week, whatever, how long it was, and then came back. And
they were about to. I mean, they were like at hair's breadth margins. I mean, they had very little time. As soon as they basically ran out of oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. I mean, they were like that close to dying, and so it just doesn't seem feasible to me that at least in that situation that they would endanger themselves like that voluntarily. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that the Apollo 13, the whole Apollo 13 is really hard to explain with that paradigm. It really is. Because I mean, they were like suffering from temperatures that, humans really shouldn't be at. And they were, rationed on food and everything. And
there was a guy from Roswell or whatever. He said that it's not even possible for a man to go into space, that it affects your brain, that it's not even possible to even do it. So anybody saying going into space it's all fraud. There's so much misinformation, you know what I mean? There's just so much misinformation. Secret space program. We didn't land on the moon. We landed on the moon. We landed on the moon, and there's a secret base on there. Aliens told us never to come back. There's like so much. You don't know what story is true. You know what I mean? But it is plausible that we did land on the moon, and it's plausible that we didn't. The government has lied before.
Anything's plausible. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not entirely impossible that this didn't happen, that there's a big cover up. I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm just saying that I've yet to see anything compelling to change my mind about it.
And the timing was so perfect, and what he said, and everything was just so absolutely perfect that it seems.
But things
all the photographs were just
things
perfect.
happen that are perfect like that. I mean, things happen like that are perfect. I mean, nobody thought anybody could land a 420 or whatever it was, how many rotations until Tony Hawk did it. And it was impossible. People thought it was impossible, but the guy managed to land it, And you're also not going to keep a bunch of hard drinking military men to keep a secret for that long.
Also, by telling their secret, wait, what's he saying?
So the moon landing, there's nothing for us on the moon. 80 years later, there are minerals on the moon. Okay. I don't know what you mean by that. A lot of people still believe in Santa Claus. Life steal. Okay, LOZ. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, it doesn't cost me anything to believe that it happened, and it doesn't, and it cost me a lot more to believe it didn't. And so, I mean, call me coward, call me, prosaic, call me like a, noob or Pollyanna, but I actually think we did it.
How we actually broadcasted it is another reason why people think it was fake, that it wasn't possible to average, like a tower went like 60 miles to broadcast something. So how do we broadcast all this live footage from the moon and beamed it back to Earth in 1969 with like ancient, technology we had then?
Well, how did they broadcast the Olympics? And
The
that
Olympics
was
wasn't on the moon.
about 3 decades earlier. So,
But the Olympics wasn't on the moon, outside of Earth.
well, if you look at the way waves move through space, they actually move faster in space than they do on the Earth's atmosphere. So, still not compelling for me.
Yeah, I watched a program about it, and at first I was like,
there you go.
it's another
There you go.
conspiracy
See, that's the
theory,
problem.
you know what I
That's
mean?
the
And then
problem,
after you
yeah.
start hearing all these facts, they start to add up. You know what I
Facts.
mean?
Facts.
When they ask a simple question, they don't answer you. It's just a little weird,
Well, that's their government agency. When has a government agency ever given anybody a straight answer?
And that's what they think NASA stands for, never a straight answer.
That's what they all do, though. That's what they all do. It's like a governmental policy to never give a straight answer. I mean, I was saying that I'm not seeing anything compelling that's changed my mind so far. Simple Jack has a theory there. Moon landing, there is nothing for us. Oh, I'm sorry, we already read that. He already read that. Never mind. That's what he said earlier. Well, I mean, like I said, to me, it just cost me a lot more to believe it didn't happen than it cost me to believe that it did. So to believe that it did, kind of pumps up my own belief system about what America is and what it's capable of. And believe it didn't kind of tears that down somewhat. And so I guess that makes me a little bit of an intellectual coward, but it just I just choose to believe that it happened.
Maybe we just landed a rover on the moon and collected that, those rocks or whatever, and samples and those photographs. Maybe we're just taken by some rover, and I don't know. Just doesn't add to me. It doesn't add up 100%. But I'm still on the fence either way. But
okay,
I'm not 100% believing that we landed on the moon. That's for sure. I'm not
right
sold on it.
Simple Jack says, cost you you're a lot more. Explain losing friends. No,
I came out and said, yeah, I gotta admit, yeah, it was all fake, but we were told it was for the best of our country. It was for, the greater good. So we went along with it, and we were told last minute, and so we had no other choice.
Well, the thing that that kind of is compelling to me is when you see all these years of an unbroken line of people signing off on this, and you've had mavericks and people that came into office that if there was something there, they probably would have said something. I mean, Trump is definitely somebody that would have seen this information, and do you think he would have kept it quiet? I mean, he kind of blew the whistle on a lot of stuff that we were assuming, declassified a lot of documents that they didn't want him to. I mean, I think he would have like blown a whistle on it or something. But it is what it is. What stopped the space race? Maybe knowing it was a lie. I don't know. There's a lot of people died for that lie. I mean, the Challenger and the Columbia disasters.
That was one of my earliest memories. We were in like elementary school, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna watch, Challenger." So we went to the library, and he had this like old school TV, and
Mm-hmm.
we all gathered around this little TV and we watched it, and it just blew
Yeah.
up. It was like, very
There's a lot
hard
of
on a
people.
little kid.
There was a guy from my school who was a finalist in that. He was like one of the last ones that he probably would have been the candidate if he would probably been on that spaceship, but he had a hang gliding accident and it took him out of the running. But he would like had everybody. He was like showing all the stuff that he got from NASA and everything, and they had the video on, and they were watching it live in the auditorium. And when it blew up, they said he went white as a sheet. And to be honest, it disappointed me that he wasn't on it rather than Krista McAuliffe, because she seemed like she was a real sweet lady, and he was a jackass. We were all like, why couldn't it have been him? My God, why couldn't it have been him? But anyway, is there a rover on the moon taking pictures? Anyway, Hojo, same logic with the JFK files. They always say they're going to release them, and then at the last minute,
didn't Trump declassify them or whatever, and was going to release all these new information, and then it's like, what happened to that?
Yeah. Well, somebody reclassified them. Now that's a conspiracy I can get behind. That's definitely something we can discuss at a later date.
So you're agreeing that the government's not telling the full truth?
Yeah.
So if you're not telling the truth there, what do you think makes you think that they wouldn't be telling you the truth here?
Well, because one of them is a lot easier conspiracy to keep than another one. One of them takes a very small circle of people. The other one took a whole entire agency to keep. So that's my answer. Anyway. I mean, there's a lot of people getting assassinated around that time. Robert Kennedy right after that. And MLK. Before that. I mean, there's a lot of people getting assassinated around that time. A lot of people getting.
Didn't the government admit to assassinating MLK now?
I don't think they ever did. James Earl Ray swore to the day he died that he wasn't that he was a patsy. Sirhan, also swears that he didn't do it. And a lot of the Robert Kennedy assassination is just bizarre. There's no way he could have shot that guy like that. There's just no way. I mean, when you look at the way everything was laid out. Rocks brought back from the moon were determined to be fakes. They just fossilized wood.
I didn't hear about that.
Who determined them to be fake? That's the question. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff where, this guy showed this, or this guy did that, or this guy, I've seen a lot of that going on, but I'm not seeing actual, I
just find it suspicious when they say they don't know how to do it again. Oh, we don't remember how to get there. No big deal. You know what I mean? We lost that information. We lost the plans. We lost the footage of landing. Just no big deal. Just one of the greatest achievements of all time.
They lost Katherine Johnson, and she was the way to land it, So, I mean, that could be the explanation for that. Let's say, I think in regards to all of that, the government with a half truth wrapped in a lie. Okay, that's Hojo there. U.S. gave France a moon rock and they tested it. Well, France, we're taking the French word for it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to say that I'm dubious about that. Anyway. Anyway. So I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the day. Anyway, so whether you want to believe the moon landing actually happened or you want to believe that it's all a fake, that is entirely up to you. Here we are inconclusive because we don't make conclusions, we just speculate and we just ask the questions.
I like to keep an open mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Yeah. So we just basically we just speculate. We just put it out there. We're not making any conclusions. If you were to nail us down, I would be a believer, and Justin would be a skeptic. So in this one, I'm the Molder, and he's the Scully. So I'm sorry, he's the Molder. I'm the Scully. Anyway, whatever.
Everything's a lie.
Everything's a lie. Okay, I'm the Molder. You're the Scully. Okay, there you go. Anyway, but anyway, like I said, we don't make any conclusions here. We just ask the questions, and so just remember in the future that on the Cannabis and Conspiracies, the truth is high. So that's all we got for the day. Y'all have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Later, guys.
Headline Division, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
When I was in England, I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale, and never tried it again.